joining us now is Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Oji.
Good morning, Dr. Abati.
Good morning.
It's almost Christmas.
Oh, yes.
Happy Christmas Eve.
Yes, yes.
How are you this morning?
Same to you. Thank you.
Great. Good morning, beautiful Adeswa in red.
Good morning,
What are you going to wear tomorrow?
I'm still thinking about it. A lot of us have been left less festive because of COVID.
Yes.
And a lot of things that has happened this year. But you know, we are alive, we are here.
Yes, and we thank God.
We thank God. So
I am celebrating.
Yes.
Yes. Good morning, Rufai. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Audrey. Looking beautiful and great as always. You know what they call this today in parts like Warri? They call it Christmas wash night. Christmas Eve, and we pray for blessings, and as we go to the end of the year, we pray for protection at this time.
Right. Thank you. Well, good morning to you, viewers. We begin what's trending in Nigeria, where the federal government has announced a 72-hour closure of the third mainland bridge in Lagos to allow for the casting of 3 expansion joints on the island-bound lane. The Federal Controller of Works on Tuesday announced that the closure, which will take effect from midnight on Saturday, December 26th, through Monday, December 28th at midnight, is to allow for the concrete placed on the expansion joints to cast, and that it was important that the bridge be fully closed so as to avoid any vibrations. The controller added that commuters will be able to ply the bridge on Christmas Day. Well, I think that this came at the right time. I mean, I think it's a better timing than the last time they announced the closure. I mean, at this point, people will be at home and they will be, with their families, and they'll have no cause to commute. So, I'm happy that this is coming at this time as opposed to the last time where it was, it came as a shock at Adeswa.
Indeed, July 24th seemed like a decade ago when the bridge was closed. It's a necessity that must happen during the phase of the construction they are in, so we understand. But it must be said that the closure of this bridge has brought untold hardship on commuters, because there are no enough alternatives. And the alternatives that are there are not good enough. They're not properly maintained as well. I'm sure if we carried out a study on the effects of the closure of the third mainland bridge on productivity of Lagos residents and commuters of this road, we will find that productivity was greatly affected in the last 6 months, and it's not over. We need to move from the point where we are having major maintenance of roads leading to loss of productivity, and that has to speak to building more road networks, better road networks, and then routine. There's a reason why it's called routine. You do not wait for potholes to become gorges before you carry out routine maintenance. So we need to carry out routine maintenance on our infrastructure, on our roads, so that when we have major closures like this, we do not all just suffer. I personally have had to reduce my commuting to the mainland in the last 6 months.
Yes, I mean, great point there about impact on productivity. If you calculate the amount of man-hours that people spend in Lagos commuting between the island or the mainland in any direction, whether it is towards the third mainland bridge or the alternative routes that Kyle de Kukola, the controller of works, is referring to, it's quite a lot.
Yes.
And in fact, even in terms of the effect on people's health, I mean, you can't imagine what some people go through on a daily basis, spending over 5-6 hours on the road, either coming this way or going back in that direction. That's one point. But what all of this shows is the need for a multimodal transportation system in Lagos. The Lagos government has been talking about water ferry services. I don't know how effective that is. They've been talking about railway, red line, blue line. We have not seen either the red or the blue. Everything is still in the pipeline. And then the Lagos state is talking about this all-important project, the fourth mainland bridge project. Tenders have been taken, but I guess that the average resident in Lagos would like to see that fourth mainland bridge, delivered within the lifetime of the present administration in Lagos. Now, the third mainland bridge, we're told, yes, you have said, will be shut down from Friday midnight to Monday morning. Mr. Pupola says that the alternative routes are in good condition. Well, I don't know how it defines it's a good condition. I'm not too sure that those alternative routes are in good condition. Because if you take either through Eko Bridge or you take through Kata Bridge or you go through Ikorodu Road and go on to maybe Onyibo to cross over to the island, you see the congestion there and the frustration that people go through. It talks about traffic officials, traffic controllers helping people. Well, this was what they told us in July, but those traffic control officials, they've not been very efficient. People have just been left to their own devices. Now, apart from the third mainland bridge that will be shut down for 72 hours, the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is also going to be shut down, closed, partially from around kilometer 16. And we've been told that there will be diversions, December 28, December 29. But the truth of the matter is that even when there is no serious work being done in terms of construction on that Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, traveling on that road has been a nightmare since the contract for the repair and upgrading of that road was awarded to RCC and Julius Berger. And whatever needs to be done to make sure that they complete that expressway, they should do it. Because the RCC seems to be doing better on the Shagamu-Ibadan end of it, but Julius Berger on the Lagos end here, all the way to Shagamu interchange, doesn't seem to be, as fast enough as possible. And government also needs to pay attention to that. The third mainland bridge, we're told, will be completed in January. They've moved that now to February. I hope there will be no further extension so as to minimize the hardship that people are going through. And you would know
because you've experienced this. You experience this every single day. Right.
I know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Yeah? Rufai, your take on the story.
It's quite sad that all of this is happening in Lagos. And I'm excited Dr. Abati talked about multimodal transport and the rail lines. Just for effect, that project was said to have started during the time of Lateef Jakonde. That's about 40 years ago. In fact, it was said that Lateef Jakonde had paid in part of that money for that project about $80 million then, 80 million naira thereabout, to Alstom, which is a big train manufacturing company and rail manufacturing company in the world. I think of the Germanic extraction. And it's sad that 40 years after, we are not anywhere. Just for context, Lagos population in 1994, the last time Nigeria did very well in the World Cup and featured prominently, Lagos population in 1994 was 10 million. The population of New York now is 8.89 million. London, less than that. So we are now, Lagos had gotten to a point that New York is now in terms of population, way back in 1994. It was safe to call Lagos a megapoly in terms of population as at 1994. It's the only megapoly I see with over 20 million population that doesn't have effective mass transportation system. That's a very shocking one. So when road repairs are done, people suffer. We ought not to be suffering this way, and it's quite very sad. We need to do everything possible to expedite the rail, to do what is necessary to be able to help the people of Lagos. There's another impending one. I think I was hearing a last month official saying that most roads are expiring already in Lagos. So let's get ready for that next year. Because we forget that once you do any road, it has an expiry date. Anything that has materials, if you do material engineering, you will know that it will have an expiry date definitely, just like houses have expiry dates. What are we doing as regards that? And what are we doing to cushion the effect of that? Because now they've sent us to alternative routes. Even the alternative routes are bad themselves. You want to go through Yigbo, bad. It's terrible. Just imagine how much that will have taken out of a livelihood of an economy that just recovering from the COVID-19 lockdown. These are things we should think. We should extrapolate on the effect of things like this in society. And we should think critically. If we have effective multimodal transport system, fixing just one bridge in the state shouldn't collapse everything. People should be able to take rails and other alternatives. But it is sad that we have not thought of this, and I don't see us doing this anytime soon. In fact, the fourth mainland bridge should have been done before now. In fact, we should be talking about 5, 6, 7 mainland bridges, because Lagos is very symbolic, just like London. There's a bridge that connects two sides of London across the Thames, And there are many other bridges in many cities. Like if you go to Istanbul, just like the same way, the Bosphorus River. So you need to be able to bring a lot of passings that can connect people across board. Because when you connect people and you build bridges, trade will improve. This hardship has to stop.
All right. We'll take another story still in Nigeria. The governor of Kaduna State, Nasser El-Rufai, on Tuesday terminated the appointment of education secretaries in all the 23 local government areas of the state. The special advisor to the governor on media and communications said the decision is part of efforts to rejig governance and deepen reforms in the education sector in the state. The most senior officials in the education department of each of the 23 local government areas have now been directed to act as education secretaries, pending the appointment of replacements. Meanwhile, in Borno State, the Committee on Verification and Biometric Data Capture of Local Education Authority staff says 60% of primary school teachers in the state lack requisite qualifications. Chairman of the committee said they discovered anomalies such as staff with fake certificates, those due for retirement but had refused to leave the system, questionable appointment letters, underage teachers, and those working in multiple places. As a result of the screening, the committee was able to reduce the monthly wage bill of primary school teachers. Well, I think that this is a good development coming from the northern governors. You know, we've seen in Kaduna State, now in Borno State. But I have questions with, you know, the situation in Kaduna State with all those education secretaries being, you know, sacked. I mean, is there a political undertone to this? What was the issue here? I don't understand that story at this point. Why?
Well, I don't know if there's a political undertone to it, but I also don't think that there is a tenure for such positions. And so the governor is at liberty to, I think, rejig his cabinet. Even at the federal level, we've heard President Muhammad Buhari say, you know, I won't make the mistake I made last time by keeping all my ministers, even though you're still seeing those who are underperforming retain their position. So I don't think it's a tenure-prone position. But Governor El-Rufai, as we know, I was almost going to say, is determined to carry out, you know, those hardline decisions to reform education in the state. In 2017, there was that controversial sack of teachers, you know, about 21,000 teachers out of 33,000 who could not perform in primary 4 tests conducted. And that's the situation we see in the north. You would also remember that some of the most disturbing indices when it comes to education, health, comes from the northern part of Nigeria. So how the sacking and reinvigoration of the replacement of this position affects education is what is yet to be seen.
That's the question.
But what is known is that Governor El-Rufai has stood out in terms of reforming education in the north. Even UNICEF statistics, when they look at out-of-school children in the northwestern states, I recall in 2019, they rated Kaduna State high, contrary to other states in the northwest. So you have to give that to the governor. But again, if there's political undertone, I would not know about it.
I mean, in a time of COVID-19, I'm not sure if, you know, I mean, we need to know the statistics, and we need to know why.
Well, whatever can be done to raise the standard of education in the north, either in terms of personnel or even anywhere else in Nigeria, is to be encouraged. Once it can be established that there is no case of victimization, and that the move is not political, and that there has been fairness even to the extent that the disengaged persons, if they should get certain entitlements, will also be given their entitlements. Once there is no victimization, that is not a problem in terms of, you know, moving people around. And in this particular case, the governor of Kaduna State, we're told, has directed that the most senior officers in the education departments in the various local governments should take over. The only concern, however, here is that I hope this is not a case of the state government breathing down on the local councils. So once that is not an issue, then I have no problem with whatever honest, you know, and transparent steps are taken to raise the standard of education. But the one we really need to worry more about is a story from Borno State, where, you reported that certain teachers don't have certificates. Some of them who claim to have certificates are carrying fake certificates. I mean, the status of the education system in parts of the north and other parts of the country is worrisome enough than to now have teachers who don't have qualifications. I mean, you cannot give what you do not have. So if these teachers themselves are ignorant and, do not know what they are teaching, then, of course, that further compounds the situation. And where there are such persons, of course, they should be disengaged. In fact, they should be sanctioned if it is established, that there is criminality involved, because that's like putting the lives, the future of children at risk.
The future of Nigeria.
And then cheating the system, yes. And then making false representation to the state. So if that can be established, such persons should be duly sanctioned.
Right. A quick comment from you, Rufai.
Dr. Abati, like you said, that's criminal. That's barbaric. So I was trying out a new line this morning. So I was telling somebody that it's as barbaric as overdosing on barbiturates. That's the way it is. It's that barbaric, and it just shows that for a country that wants to grow in science and technology, that wants to show that at some point it's a scientific world power, and it has teachers that are not qualified. But for me, I just want to speak to the fact that we take a lot of knee-jerk reactions in this country. Mm-hmm. And I feel that that's a knee-jerk reaction. I think the question we should be asking is, what happened to our teacher training colleges? How can we revitalize teacher training colleges? I remember back in the days, people that had degrees as little as N75s were good teachers. So what are the institutions at which we train our teachers? How can we focus on that? I mean, and it cuts across, so what are the institutions there to train people that are very cardinal in society? Somebody was telling me the other day about a midwifery school that was shut down and that was turned into sort of like an event center or something. I don't know what it was turned into. It's quite very sad. So we can penalize teachers all we want. It's not today governors have been doing it. I remember, I think it was Governor Mechi then when he was in Rivers State, he sacked a couple of teachers because he asked them to state the number of local governments in Rivers State. A lot of the teachers could not state that. But the question goes, yes, we can easily say, okay, teachers are terrible, they're bad and everything. But what system produces our teachers? Except we take that seriously, then we're not going to go anywhere. We want to be like Finland in terms of education, but we forget that you have to do a 5-year compulsory master program for you to be a teacher in Finland. A teacher is better trained than probably a doctor in some parts of the world in Finland. And you can only be a primary school teacher for life in Finland. That's to show you the emphasis placed. You must have a master's degree before you can be a teacher in Finland. And that's why you see the great results. That's why you see Finland leading PISA scores and the likes and things like that. So let's also, while we focus on teachers being very bad and poor at appalling at their job, let's focus on the institutions that train our teachers. And our teacher training colleges should be revitalized across the country.
Good point, Rufai. Let's head over to the United States now, where reactions are trailing President Donald Trump's decision to pardon 26 people, including his former advisor, Roger Stone, and his son-in-law's father, Charles Kushner, just weeks before his final day in office. Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, who was among those pardoned on Wednesday night, has already addressed the president in a tweet, thanking him for the presidential pardon. Beyond these high-profile persons, Trump also pardoned those who pled guilty to various cyber crimes, firearms possession, and mail fraud. In addition, Trump commuted the sentences of 3 persons on Wednesday. Well, this has received a lot of backlash from Democrats. I mean, it is, well known across the globe that there's always this controversy on presidential pardon at the end of their term. But I think that Donald Trump has really gone, way beyond. I mean, pardoning criminals and family members is really absurd. Charles Kushner, he was convicted for tax evasion. I mean, I don't understand Donald Trump at this point. Dr. Abati, I'll give this to you.
Well, I mean, what we're witnessing in the last moments of the Trump presidency is a sewage dump of pardons.
Yes.
65 pardons so far. Out of the 65, 42 of those pardons were told or by analysts have been used to promote a political agenda.
Yeah.
And, there is outrage. Only 5 of the persons that have been pardoned so far were recommended by the White House pardons attorney. Every other person, is either they are Trump's supporters or there are persons who are related to him, one way or the other, as you have pointed out. But the most scandalous one there is this, pardon of the Blackwater, security guards who were sentenced, at least one of them, to about 30 years imprisonment. And there is international outrage. The United Nations Human Rights Office has condemned it in Iraq, because these 17 Iraqi civilians who were killed in 2007, Iraqis are now saying that, look, this is pure injustice and that this is unacceptable, this is not understandable. One of the relations of one of those 17 Iraqis who were killed is saying that, well, to President Trump, this shows that Iraqi blood is cheaper than water, which is a very strong way to put it. And, some of the political supporters, the Blackwater is owned by, the brother of Betsy DeVos, who is, in the Trump administration and is known to be a major Trump supporter. George Papadopoulos, who was also pardoned, was a campaign aide. He was granted clemency. He was a campaign aide to President Trump. 3 Republicans, former Republican lawmakers, who were also granted clemency. These were 3 persons who are considered to have been the most corrupt Republican lawmakers in recent times in the American Congress. So many issues. That's why I say it looks like a sewage dump of pardons. But thank you very much,
Thank
Oji.
you, Dr. Vati. Thank you, Adeswa.